Welcome. Happy Sunday.
That sounds great.
Wow, we're filling up this place. So it was snowing at home. It quit snowing after I passed Walker. And you might have seen that article about God wants you well. So God wants you well. I was obedient and I just started writing. And what the book is largely is a book of testimonies of people's divine healing. How God just healed different people in all kinds of different situations. And while I was writing the book, I got healed.
Wow.
So I used to have terrible asthma, terrible allergies. I was allergic to all kinds of foods, all kinds of animals, all kinds of trees and grass and whatnot. And so I grew up in the medical model because my mom was a nurse. And that's what she knew to do with me, was to take me to the clinic and get allergy shots and medication and on and on and on. And I was really unhealthy. And God wanted to show me that there was another way. So I started out with the medical model, didn't get anywhere, had lots of side effects, lots of issues, and actually still dealing with some of the side effects. And so I decided to try my way. In college, I started to study on my own and research, and I found that just taking fish oil, omega-3 fatty acid, healed my eczema.
Wow.
I used to have terrible hives, head to toe, because I would break out from everything. And I would always wear long sleeves and long pants because my skin was just so horrible. And so I got some help, but I wasn't cured, so I kept pursuing and kept pursuing. And that's kind of how I got into what I'm doing now, is because, you know, I felt like God was showing me another way. And so, of course, my mom wanted me to go to be a nurse, and, you know, who knows what my dad wanted, but it wasn't this. And so I decided to, you know, and I love to write. And so writing is really how I got my start. And the only thing I was interested in was writing about health. And so I actually ended up with an independent degree from NDSU, and I called it Scientific and Technical Writing. Now it's an actual thing that you can go to different schools and get it, but back then I had to make up my own degree program.
Oh, wow.
And so I started writing at my first job at Swanson Health Products. One of the first books I wrote was on castor oil. And it's still one of my bestsellers.
Wow.
So it's been quite a journey. So I moved to California. I worked out there, worked for a number of different companies, including Doctor's Best, which I still sell today.
Oh, wow.
But anyway, to bring us up to date, you know, in California I went back to school and got my nutrition degrees. And then I came to Minnesota. And so God is my teacher. He, you know, he talks to me when I'm counseling. He talks to me in the middle of the night. If someone's health issues are on my mind, he'll talk to me. So I give him all the credit. I'm just along for the ride. But so to summarize, you know, I tried my way, I tried the medical way, and, you know, God's way was really the best. But you can't forget, I mean, the medical system still has value. You know, if you break your leg, don't go to a nutritionist. You know, you need to get that set, or, you know, whatever needs to be done there. And they're great at emergency medicine. But we cannot discount the value of the food that God has given us. And the whole problem now is that we are eating foods that God did not make. They're made in a lab, they're made in a chemistry, you know, it's just, you read the labels, it's a bunch of chemicals. Our body doesn't know what to do with them. So I'm going to go to Genesis and tell you what some of the things that God has shown me. So the bottom line is eating real food blesses the body and honors God. And processed food destroys our health and does not honor God. It actually blesses the manufacturer. It doesn't bless God. So ask yourself, who made this? Did God make this? God did not make pop. I'm going to probably upset some of you. God did not make Oreos. M&Ms, Cheez-Its, breakfast cereal like Cheerios or Fruit Loops, even worse, Cheetos, all of the things that come in a package that have a long shelf life does not honor God. It honors the manufacturer that you're buying it from. So, this is what God told us to eat. In Genesis 1:12, and the earth brought forth grass and herbs yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after its kind, and God saw that it was good. So God gave us trees and herbs and plants, and in the beginning, we were all vegetarians, and God said it was good. And interesting that Genesis 1:12 comes right after he introduces that he has made man in his image, right? So right after he tells us he made man in his image, then he tells us what to eat. I mean, it's right there. In Genesis 1:29, it says, again, same scripture, similar scripture, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is on the face of the earth, and every tree, which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. So the fruit of the trees with the seed is what we're supposed to be eating. So that means no seedless watermelon, no seedless grapes, because these have been modified from the way that God originally intended it to be. So after the flood, God preserved all the clean animals because the vegetation was destroyed in the flood. So now he allowed us to eat animals. And he said, every living thing that lives, no dead food, shall be meat for you. Even as the green herbs I have given you all things, but with the flesh and the blood. So he doesn't want us to eat the blood in the animals, which is why they, drain them or whatever it's called. So it's very simple to eat the food that God gave us to eat. And that's a ton of things. It's not like we're lacking for anything. And they ate this way till probably maybe the 1900s, the early 1900s. You started seeing some manufacturers come into play, people like General Mills, Kellogg's. That's around the time that they got their start. It was, I think, 1920, 1925, somewhere in there. So if you look at example of what's an example of dead processed food, well, you just have to look at what they sell at McDonald's. There are people who have saved McDonald's burgers and fries and kept them in a package for 20 years. They have not molded, they have not rotted, they might be a little dehydrated, but they have not decayed like normal healthy food would. Healthy food will decay. It will eat itself. The enzymes in it will literally, like you leave a banana out on the counter, it's going to turn from yellow to green, or to green to yellow, and then to brown, because it's going to digest itself. So bread is an interesting food. There was a form of bread in almost every culture around the world, whether it be naan or tortillas or loaves. In every culture you can find some type of bread. And of course the Bible stories, there's tons of Bible stories about bread. But the problem is that the original bread probably had like 3 ingredients, 2 if they didn't have yeast. And today's bread is filled with chemicals. and it's just completely ruined. You've got brominated flour, you've got high fructose corn syrup, fortified flour, and literally a whole bunch of chemicals that most of us can't pronounce. If you look at Ezekiel bread, the recipe is in Ezekiel 4:9. It says that you could take wheat, barley, beans, lentils, millet, and fitches, which is spelt, and put it in one vessel, and make thee bread thereof, according to the number of the days you shall lay on your side. So he laid on his side and ate this bread for 390 days. That's all he ate, was this Ezekiel bread. And then, he was sedentary, so he didn't require a lot of calories, but, he got the nutrition that he needed just by eating those ingredients. So he was eating a multi-grain, whole grain bread. The problem today are wheats like durum and seminola are all genetically modified. You can get, there's an ancient grain, there's a few ancient grains. One of them is einkorn. And you can purchase that online, or sometimes you can find it at a health food store. It's naturally low in gluten. Farro is another one. Spelt and teff are also a few non-genetically modified wheats that have not been altered, and they're all naturally low in gluten. So if you want to do grains and you want to be healthy about it, I would look for these. I use a lot of einkorn. I haven't really used a lot of spelt and teff and farro, but I use a lot of einkorn. These grains contain all natural amino acids, so they're literally a complete protein. So you're getting a balanced diet. So going back to Ezekiel, in Ezekiel 4:10, he told him how much water to drink. He told him to drink 1/6 of a hin, which equals 4 cups. So one of my, let's call it a pet peeve, is when everyone gets on the bandwagon, oh, you have to drink a gallon, you have to drink a gallon and a half, you have to drink all this water. It's not, first of all, water is not the same as it used to be, because water used to be full of minerals. And now we drink processed water, and those minerals are taken out. So all of your tap water, most of your water that's in your bottled water, things like that, that's all processed water. And when you drink water without the minerals in it, it's going to act like a diuretic, and it's going to flush out electrolytes from your body, because the water does not have the minerals in it. There is an alkaline water. Well, there's quite a few, I think, but originally there was the water from Fiji, where Fiji was, they said that Fiji has the healthiest water in the world, and the pH of Fiji water, which you can buy, you've probably all seen it in the grocery store or somewhere, is actually 9. So it's very alkaline, loaded with minerals. Whereas when they take tap water, they process it so to make it, even though they take out the minerals, they process it so it's around a 7. So if you one time we did a class, I think we were in Elbow Lake. No, is that what it's called? Where you? And the water, I'll never forget this, the water tested from the tap, it was a 3. It was super acidic. And I've been to other places it's been 4, I see a lot of 5s. And if you're drinking like reverse osmosis water, that's going to be a 5. So if you drink, all these processes that they do to clean the water, they put, fluoride, they put chlorine, they put all kinds of chemicals in there. So they, to clean the water, then it pulls out the minerals. So I can't tell you how much water is acceptable to drink, other than to tell you that he was sedentary. He was laying on his side for over a year, and he only needed to drink 4 cups a day. So if you're working outside and it's hot and sweaty, if you have a physical job, you're probably going to need more water. But it's just something to think about, that just remember Ezekiel only needed 4 cups a day. And of good water, not bad water. Now the Bible talks about honey, and honey compared to sugar would pretty much be considered health food because of the minerals and the nutrients and the enzymes to help you deal with the carbohydrates that are in the honey. Yet the Bible clearly tells us it's okay to eat honey, but not too much or it'll make you sick. So we've always had honey. We've always had some type of sweetening. We've always had maple syrup. And so, the scripture says, clearly, there's a couple scriptures in Proverbs that say, have you found honey? Only eat as much as sufficient, or you be filled and vomited. That's what it says, Proverbs 25:16. So sugar is highly inflammatory, highly acidic, meaning it's going to drop your pH because the minerals have been removed, and it's going to suppress your immune system and a whole bunch more. So if I would ask you to give up anything, I would probably start with sugar. It's addictive, and it's literally does nothing for your body. It's just calories that are going to cause a lot of health problems. The Bible talks about breakfast. I always like this one. John 21:9-12. Jesus fed the disciples fish and bread for breakfast. Fish. No Cheerios. So I should note that there's talk about breakfast in the Bible, but there's no rules about that there's 3 meals a day. And I consider that a man's rule. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner is a man's rule, and it's largely promoted by, the General Mills and those types of companies that make breakfast cereal. And the funny thing is they tell you, oh, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. But the most important thing to eat at breakfast is protein.
Yes. Amen.
You have to have protein with your, you don't need anything else. If you have protein, you'll be fine. Because you're going to stabilize your blood sugar, and it's going to give you enough energy and calories to get you through. And again, of course, it's so dependent upon your lifestyle, on how much that you eat. But I personally think that we are so overfed in this country, and yet we're so undernourished because the nutrition has been processed out. Ezekiel 47. So the question is it biblical to take supplements? And Ezekiel 47:12 says, and by the river upon the bank thereof, on this side and on that side, shall grow all trees for meat. Meat would be food, but also medicine. it says, those leaves shall not fade, neither shall the fruit shall be consumed. It shall bring forth new fruit according to its months, time of year, because their waters are issued out of the sanctuary, and the fruit thereof shall be for meat, and the leaf thereof for medicine. Revelation 22:2 says something similar. In the midst of the street of it, on every side of the river, was the tree of life, which bare 12 fruits, and yielded her fruit every month, and the leaves of the trees were for the healing of the nations. So when I think of that tree in Revelations, I think of he picked like the 12 best trees that had, nutritious fruit that were for healing. And he put them together in one tree. And when he talks about the seasons, different trees bear fruit in different seasons. And so I'm assuming that there was a fruit for every month, to make it fruit free the whole year, for their medicine. That's how I read that. I could be wrong. So today, most people eat, now this is interesting because some people do eat too much protein, especially from animal products. You've probably heard of the carnivore diet. Very unhealthy, very, very unhealthy. Yes, you might lose weight, but you're probably going to have a lot of health problems. We need a balance. Too much refined carbohydrates in the forms of breads and ready-to-eat cereals, and of course, not to mention sugar is a refined carbohydrate. Too much fake food. There is so much fake food on the market. High fructose corn syrup. There's just there's an endless list of, when you read the labels on the ingredients, anything you can't pronounce, just put that down. Your body doesn't know what to do with it, and you might not feel it right away, depending upon how sensitive you are and how clean your diet is. We just can't be putting that stuff in our body. There's too much fake and processed fats, vegetable oils, seed oils, things like canola, soybean, sunflower, corn. These are just horrible. The processing that these oils go through, first of all, I don't even know, how do you get oil out of corn? They're just processing it's so processed that, and it has to be bleached, it has to be, it's just ridiculous how all the steps it has to go through in order to take a food like corn and turn it into oil. Whereas if you take extra virgin olive oil or something like avocado oil, all they're doing is pressing the oil out with no heat. Extra virgin means it was used no heat, and so all they're doing is pressing the oil out and bottling it, and probably filtering it. That's all that they do to it. There's no high temperatures, there's no bleaching. So we've just simply got way too many chemicals in our diet. And again, way too much food in general. Remember that movie, The Supersize It? Where the guy just, every time he went to McDonald's, and if they said you want to supersize it, he had to do it according to the, whatever he was doing. And he was terribly unhealthy. I think he only did it for a month, and everyone was begging him to stop because he gained so much weight, he gained so much fat, he was in everything, all of his joints hurt, his cholesterol and all of his numbers were just crazy. But I think he made it the 3 months, or the 1 month, and then it took him, I think, like 9 months to lose the weight.
Man.
So we're not eating enough natural fruits and vegetables, and we're not eating enough whole grains, beans, and nuts. So Satan is an adulterer. He falsifies things and makes things impure. He's a deceiver and intimidator. As you know, that they make fake meat out of soy and other plants. I think it's called Beyond Meat, and it's just a bunch of chemicals. I can't even imagine what it tastes like, but we've got perfectly good beef, right? Why do we need to make meat out of soybeans? It doesn't make any sense to me. God created perfect, whole, natural foods. And man has adulterated and imperfected the food God created through additions and subtractions. If you look at something like potatoes, very healthy, turn them into potato chips and fries. You can take a fruit, and we've turned it into fruit juice or fruit-flavored items, like fruit-flavored roll-ups, and it's just garbage. It's just a bunch of chemicals. And this completely changes the way that we digest them when we're eating fake foods. It affects our blood sugar. It affects our inflammation. It affects our weight. I'm sure it affects our blood pressure. It just affects everything. Now, this is new. This is the first time that I used to caution people when eating out. Now I'm telling people, just don't. Just, unless you go to a 5-star restaurant and are prepared to pay $200 for 2 people, you just, if you went back into that kitchen, you would turn around and you would leave. Not because it's unsanitary, necessarily, but because of the canola oil you're going to see, and and a bunch of stuff coming out of the freezer that's that's not natural. It's just a processed whatever. The cheap ingredients, they have to use cheap ingredients because they just can't survive. So the only thing that I have found, and you can go there, you can say, can you cook my food in butter? I can't have, you can try. I don't know if they're going to like you or they'll even do it. Who knows if they even have real butter? Because it's expensive compared to canola oil. So, sorry. When we lived in the cities, we used to like to go out to eat on occasion, and moving to Longville, like the closest restaurant is probably Walker, which is 30 miles. And there's one restaurant that I feel comfortable eating at. It's called, I don't even know if it's still open because we haven't been there in years. It's called Boulders. And I feel like it's a super expensive restaurant and they probably use better ingredients. And now my eyes have been opened.
Yes.
And the last time we went out for breakfast, which was a couple months ago, just because we hadn't been out to eat in like a year, I thought, well, if I have an omelet, I don't know what they're going to cook it in, and I'm telling you, I felt terrible after I ate that. I just couldn't stomach it.
Yeah.
So here's some examples of unrefined natural food made by God. So you, in case you're all, some of you are sitting there wondering, what am I going to eat? Because she told me I can't eat out, and I can't eat this, and I can't eat that. So here's what you can eat. All fresh fruits and vegetables. Or, I'm sorry, vegetables and greens. All whole grain cereals. Watch out for the genetically modified ones. But like wild rice would be a good example of a grain that would be healthy. Nuts and seeds. Legumes and beans. All fresh fruit. Raw milk, which would be fresh and unpasteurized. And whole raw milk is going to be whole milk. I don't see any point in drinking skim milk or half and half or any of that. It's processed. You want raw honey, which has been unpasteurized. I think it's okay if you eat a piece of sugar cane if you can find it. It looks like a reed, And you could, they used to chew on it. That was like a treat. But it's got minerals in it. And probably fiber and other things that's all processed out when they make white sugar. Fresh maple syrup. It's got minerals like chromium in it that help you digest the carbs. Fresh meat, poultry. Now I have seafood here, but maybe I should have put fish because I really meant fish. I personally don't eat seafood since, well, I can't remember how long. Since the early 2000s. That's a whole nother story. We'll do that when I come back in the spring. And herbs and spices. I mean, herbs and spices are the key to the flavor of your food. And, it's important to learn what they do. As far as how to combine them and how to use them. But they're full of nutrition and medicine. So food, you just have to remember that food is medicine. And they are nutrient rich in phytochemicals, and I call phytochemicals God's pharmacy. And I have a book on there. I have a book on phytochemicals over there. And it just gives a few examples of, simple things like garlic and everything that it does. It's just amazing how healthy these things are. So here's some fake processed foods to avoid. Margarine and all hydrogenated, partially hydrogenated oil products. Artificial creamers, artificial sweeteners like aspartame, saccharin, sucralose, Splenda, all of those. Sugar, high fructose corn syrup. High fructose corn syrup is probably, it's probably worse for your liver than Tylenol.
Wow.
High fructose corn syrup, there's just something about it that the liver hates, and it's in everything.
Yes.
Every can of pop, they put it in everything because it's cheap. It's cheaper than sugar, it's way cheaper than maple syrup and honey. So they use high fructose corn syrup. MSG, monosodium glutamate, artificial colors, food dyes. Now Bobby has gotten a lot of companies to, Bobby Kennedy has gotten a lot of companies to start removing these, the reds, the blues, and the yellows, which are, they're carcinogenic, they're known to cause ADD, ADHD, they're just toxic. And it's amazing when you start reading your labels, it's amazing what they will put artificial colors in. Sometimes it seems so pointless. But they put it in there. Processed meats, which are high in sodium nitrates and other chemicals. Seed or vegetable oils. White bleached flour. cornstarch, white rice, crackers, chips, most breads, most pasta, unless, pasta's interesting, because if you go to Italy, you will find that the pasta that upsets your stomach in the United States, you can eat. Same with the bread. If bread in the United States upsets your stomach, you go to Italy and eat their bread, it won't.
Wow.
Because they do not genetically modify anything. They use ancient grains. And so if you want pasta, buy the Italian stuff. You don't have to go to a health food store or a fancy store. You can get Italian pasta in most good, decent grocery stores. I'm sure not Longville, but population 150. But we have a grocery store, mostly because it's a resort area, so we have a ton of people in the summer, and there's a ton of people there now for deer hunting. And then lastly, watch out for all forms of sugar like fructose, lactose, maltose, sugar alcohols, and especially watch out for xylitol. If you are an animal person and your dog gets a hold of xylitol, he probably not survive. It's extremely toxic to dogs. And what amazes me is if it's that toxic to dogs, what's it doing to us? So they get seizures, liver failure, and it doesn't take much. And they put xylitol in gums, candies, toothpaste, mouthwash, peanut butter, and all kinds of baked goods. So you have to watch out for xylitol. So again, if I were to choose something to, yes, it's great if you want to eliminate all these right off the bat. But if you want to start somewhere, I would go with seed oils and sugar to start eliminating. And then, eventually work your way through the list. But those, I think, are probably the worst as far as health damage. So God's food, created to sustain our health, is fragile, and it needs care and proper storage, and it will, and God's food will spoil after a fairly short period of time. You remember manna, and it only lasted a day, except on Saturday or Friday, then it was good for 2 days. So if a food comes in a package and it has an expiration date, that's a good warning sign that the nutrition has been stripped of it. Because the nutrition is basically what's going bad and what would attract a rodent to eat it. If you put, there's a lot of foods that you could put out for a rodent and they won't eat it. Or they'll choose a healthier option, I've seen a whole bunch of studies on if they put margarine out versus butter, and the animals will go for the butter and they'll leave the margarine alone. It's the same thing. So another thing is the microwave. You guys already know what I'm going to say. So a microwave is a radiation oven, and radiation kills or destroys antioxidants, just like antioxidants protect us from radiation from the sun. So someone who has they have sun sensitivity, they get sunburned from all the time, that tells me they're lacking antioxidants. So you can fix that, and there's 2 internal sunscreens that I recommend. I recommend alpha-lipoic acid, which is a very powerful antioxidant, and also astaxanthin, which I didn't bring with me, but it's another powerful antioxidant that literally, when you take it on a regular basis during the summer, I mean, I'm not going to say you can't burn. You know, if you sit outside on a boat all day, you might, but, you know, it's just going to protect you. And so in the case of the microwave, they found that they checked broccoli, for example, and they found that 97% of the antioxidants in broccoli are destroyed in the microwave oven. And it creates carcinogenic chemicals out of fat and protein. So whatever you're putting in there, if it's got fat and protein, let's say you're reheating last night's spaghetti or something, you're creating carcinogens and denaturing, which is just a fancy way of saying breaking apart into abnormal structures. So it takes a protein and it breaks it up into something the body can't recognize. So common nutritional deficiencies I see on a regular basis would be vitamin D, because we live up here in the north, and it seems like it's always March or November. Potassium. Potassium is an electrolyte that rapidly is depleted. It's used up quickly. And the RDA is really high for potassium. It's 4,700 milligrams. And if you think of the fact that there's 400 in one banana, that would be like 11 servings of bananas, right, to get to your 4,700. Now, bananas aren't your only high potassium food. You've got sweet potatoes, avocados, black beans, other beans. You've got your citrus. I already mentioned bananas. So, but that's still 11 servings of those foods is still a lot. And so it's really hard to get adequate potassium. Omega-3 is another huge deficiency because we just don't eat the foods that have omega-3s. We don't eat salmon and tuna steak on a regular basis. We don't eat walnuts, have a little bit of omega-3. Now, eggs do have a little bit of omega-3, but if you scramble them, or if you put them in a baked good, the omega-3 is going to go bad. And so if you want omega-3 from your eggs, you have to eat them poached, hard-boiled, soft-boiled. So it's a nutrient that's really hard to get in your diet. Iodine is another one. They tried to help the iodine deficiency. They depleted our soil, and everyone started getting iodine deficiencies like in the mid-1900s. So they decided to fix it by putting iodine in our salt. Unfortunately, it doesn't get well absorbed. Most of it's evaporated before it can actually get into your body. So it's not a good source of iodine at all. Magnesium is another common deficiency. Sulfur is another common deficiency. Sulfur, also known as MSM, which is methylsulfonylmethane, comes from vegetables like your cruciferous, your broccolis, your cauliflower, your cabbage. Those are all high in sulfur. And then, of course, the last one on my list is antioxidants. And these deficiencies result in, this is a long list, but anxiety, that's mostly potassium. Migraines, that's mostly magnesium. Restless leg syndrome, that's magnesium. High blood pressure, that's potassium and magnesium. AFib, that's potassium. Dizziness, potassium. Memory loss, that's omega-3. Diabetes, premature aging, depression, osteoporosis, Alzheimer's, arthritis, racing, pounding heart, inflammation, thyroid problems, cysts, cancer, immune deficiency, and on and on and on. So what I do in counseling is there's a form that I ask you to fill out. It has a 3-day food diary, and then it has a list of symptoms on one page where you just check off everything that applies to you. You know, depression, insomnia, whatever. And so I take that information and look at your diet, and I can figure out what things are missing in your diet.
Wow.
So, like I said, 25 years. I could have maybe done it so well 25 years ago, but, you know, lots of experience at this point. And so that's the purpose of the form. People say, well, why can't I just talk to you? Why do I have to fill out a form? It's like, well, there's a lot of information that I need to best give someone advice. So the body is designed by God to heal itself. But you need all essential nutrients and phytochemicals. You need no obstacles to be interfering with your healing. And you need to replace missing nutrients with supplements. And you use supplements and phytochemicals therapeutically instead of drugs. There's not a drug on the market that does not have a side effect. So what I do is, if you come to me and you say, this is what my doctor prescribed, if I'm not familiar with it, I'll look it up and see the mode of action. And there's fortunately, a lot of people or statins is a good example. Every doctor wants you to be on a statin, right? And so I know the natural alternative for that. It's not going to have the side effects. So it doesn't matter what the med is. I can help you find a right herb or a supplement to fix the problem. But we first have to make sure that there's no nutritional deficiencies. First we have to deal with that. Because there could be a reason. Let's say let's say if someone is complaining about brain fog or memory issues, and then I find out they're on a statin. So we can switch you from a statin to something else, and then because the statin is the root of the side effect is from the statin, so we need to get to the root of that before then we can address the issue better. I've talked a little bit about genetically modified foods, but basically genetically modified foods are where they they do all kinds of things, but it's completely unnatural. One example is they put fish genes in tomatoes so the tomatoes are not so susceptible to frost. So that's just one example of what a genetically modified food is. I mean, a lot of it has to do with Roundup and Roundup ready foods. Those are all genetically modified. But there's just a lot of crazy things that they do to try to help our food. But the bottom line is man cannot do a better job than God. And if tomatoes are susceptible to frost, well, you put a blanket over it. You look at the forecast. And again, watch out for seedless foods. The seeds in some of these foods are, like watermelon seeds, are very anti-parasite. So grapeseed, there's a supplement called grapeseed extract. It's very heart healthy. It's similar to, it's like, you've heard of resveratrol. So, so they're taking the best of the grape and they're taking it out.
Yeah.
You know? So all of these foods that are supposed to have seeds, I mean, just be aware that it's compromising the food is the bottom line. Eating organic, I think of organic as the way that God intended it. You know, no food, no grain needs to have glyphosate sprayed on it before harvesting in order to be healthy. But for whatever reason they do it. And the latest research shows that the kidneys are being damaged due to heavy buildup of heavy metals, such as arsenic and cadmium because of the Roundup that's sprayed on food. Also the nutrients, like the minerals, are blocked, so they're not getting absorbed into the plant. And so the nutrition is compromised from the food. We also are seeing tons of allergies today and immune system issues.
Yeah.
And really this is I think it's a chemical overload. You know, you just have so much chemicals that you're taking in, your body cannot deal with it. So again, go back to the foods that God made, not the foods made in a lab or manufacturing plant, and eat them as close to the way that God made them as possible. That means, you know, not sprayed with chemicals, Roundup, anything like that. Not processed to death, so it's bleached. You can't even recognize it anymore. The foods that God made honor Him and bless our bodies, which is why we need to eat them. Foods from a manufacturing plant bless the owners of the company, not our health. So again, warning signs. Does it have a list of ingredients? Can you pronounce all the ingredients? How long is the shelf life? Healthy food does not taste bad. God said it was good. And lastly, just some simple tips to help you get started. Buy or grow real food and cook it at home. If you have a garden and a kitchen, that's the way to go. If God didn't make it, don't eat it. If it's made in a lab, don't eat it. And just, I mean, the whole inside of the grocery store, there's a very few things in there that, I mean, you could probably find like dried beans or lentils in the center of the store, maybe some yeast for your bread, but most of the foods that you're going to want to eat are in the perimeter. You know, dairy, your produce, and your meat areas are always on the outside of the store. Throw out your microwave. Seek out natural alternatives over-the-counter prescription medicine. Use food as medicine. Practice discernment when the medical authorities tell you to inject a vaccine or a bioweapon. So when you go to the doctor for advice, you don't have to you don't have to do what they say. You're paying them for their advice. And it's really important to use discernment on how to proceed. You know, you might leave a prescription in your hand, but that does not mean that you have to fill it. And Number 5, give thanks for your food and be thankful. So I have a flyer that somehow we're going to have a blank one right off the bat. You can just take the rest. Now I gave it away and I don't know what it says. So I like to, what I did was I decided to look up the most commonly prescribed drugs. And number 1, and I was shocked. Number 1 right now, 2024 I think, yeah, it's called Keytruda, and it's a cancer drug. This is the number 1 prescribed drug just for cancer. If that doesn't tell you what we're eating, I don't know what does. So, and then on the right, I give some suggestions. Instead of the Keytruda drug, I would recommend frankincense, Boss Pro, which is a supplement form of frankincense, chlorella, very anti-cancer, beta-glucan, cloves, and also avoid all sugar and chemicals. Number 2 was Eliquis. Eliquis is it's for blood clots. It's an anticoagulant. And my mom is on this. I don't mean to throw her under the bus, but she did take all of her COVID shots. And since then, she's been plagued with blood clots. And this is a common story. This is a common problem. And her insurance only covers so much, and so she's still paying at least like $300 a month. And she has you name it, she has that insurance. Wow. I mean, every supplement, she has it all. Remember, she's a nurse. And she could take nattokinase instead, but she chooses not to. And I don't mean to, well, I kind of do. I know that the COVID shot is extremely controversial because we were bamboozled. We were told that it was safe, we were told it was effective, and we were told that we had to have it in order to have a job. And they forced it on people. And now the number 1 drug is Keytruda, and the number 2 drug is Eliquis. Side effects from the COVID shot. If you took the COVID shot, I can help you detox. They have shown that if you took it, it's going on for almost 5 years now, that the spike protein is still in your body, and I can help you get it out. I use Dr. McCullough's protocol. But number 3 is Ozempic, the weight loss drug. So I just thought it was extremely interesting because these are the most commonly prescribed drugs, and this is the world that we're living in because these issues are the most concerning. And I threw on number 15, I threw on Paxlovid, which is what they're recommending for COVID. And you can just get the same as results with oil of oregano, zinc, vitamin C, mushroom immune defense. But you can see, you know, there's just simple alternatives for some of these common drugs. Tylenol has, I mean, I've known for a long time that it's terrible for your liver. You know, I've got a great product, it's called Fast Acting Relief. It's got the boswellia in it, which comes from the frankincense. So, I mean, it's a great product. So there's just simple, natural things to take the place of the drugs that are probably doing more harm than good, whether or not you can tell right away. Because sometimes it takes years, especially in the case of statins. You know, you're not going to get dementia right away. It's going to take 10, 15 years. So, but that's pretty much it for the class. I would be happy to answer your questions. Yep.
Okay, as antibiotics, I agree, I try to stay away from those. When I go to the dentist, because I've had joint replacements, they require it. Can I sign off on it? What can I do?
Well, first of all, there is a time and a place for antibiotics.
I have to take 3 in all of the years.
Right, so I don't know how to sign off, you know, I mean, I think I've been blackballed in Minnesota dentists because I refuse to do what they say. So I go to North Dakota to the dentist when I go see my mom. But dental issues, I mean, I don't know what your dental issues are, but
Just going anytime, even if I have a cleaning checkup, anything. They don't want to do anything in my mouth unless I've had the antibiotic.
this is why I go to North Dakota.
Because of my age, I'm not driving to North Dakota,
So that's how I fix the problem. I don't know, I mean, you could ask them, you know, I'm going to take oil of oregano, is that acceptable? Now, they don't know what that is, you know.
Then it's okay to make copies of these?
Sure. So it's just going to depend upon the dentist. But like I said, there's something going on in the Minnesota, and I was told by several places that I said, well, I'll go to a different dentist then, and they said, well, it's going to be that way wherever you go in Minnesota. And so I don't understand all these rules, you know, especially for a cleaning.
Yeah.
I do, I have to take it too.
I do too.
What did you say?
Can I share my experience about having a joint replacement and then going to the dentist? I was just there on Friday. I was just at my dentist on Friday here in Minnesota, and I have joint replacements on my knees. And they were telling me that I had to take an antibiotic before every time I have a cleaning or any kind of procedure. And I looked at them, I said, is this a suggestion or is this a demand? And when I said it that way, they looked at me and they said, it's your choice. It's the way they say it to you. So you have the right to say no.
Yeah. And they, unfortunately, what I have found is they basically harass you. They're rude. They're pushy. And so I agree. Finding a tactful way to say, is this, you know, is this required or is this an option? And see what they say. But yeah, they're going to push people into, you know. I mean, if you just had surgery, I can kind of understand. But if you had surgery 10 years ago, that doesn't make any sense to me. It's hard to understand what is going on, but it's all about control.
I would just like to add that joint replacement is really serious, and a friend of mine had a knee replacement a year ago, and then he had an injury to his back, and a few months after the back injury, an infection had attached itself to his prosthetic. They had to take it out because they could not remove the infection. Now he's got a spacer in his leg instead of a knee for at least 6 weeks, probably much longer. So, like you said, you really need to think about what has happened, and if there's an alternative to antibiotics, that'd be fabulous. But yeah, there's two sides to the coin.
Right, I mean, there are times where antibiotics are life-saving. So I am not I'm not totally anti-medicine. It's kind of hard to describe, but you have to use discernment. And think about what are the side effects. I could tell you a lot of stories, but I will tell you how I saved myself from not having joint replacement surgery. I had one leg shorter than the other, and so the long leg has developed arthritis from the limping. When I was a child, they found out I had scoliosis, and they wanted me to wear a heel lift. Well, I'm barefoot all the time. I literally hardly ever wear shoes. And when I do wear shoes, like in the summer, they're going to be flip-flops or sandals or something that, So anyway, I did not follow their instructions. I don't know if that had anything to do with it or not, but I developed hip pain in my right hip, actually in college, in the early 80s. And I maintained it through supplements like MSM, where it was manageable. Well, by the time the 90s came, and into, I would say, 2000, I had to take more supplements to maintain the ability to walk normally. Let's just put it that way. And I found out about a product that I experimented on, and I started taking it. It's called Balance Oil, and it's a fish oil combined with omega-3 polyphenols, which the company has found that helps the absorption of the omega-3. And they told me it was going to take a few months because your cells have to heal. It's not like something you just take for inflammation and the pain's going to go away. It's for healing of the cells. All of our cells are surrounded by omega-3 fatty acids and some cholesterol and whatnot. But when you have more omega-6 than 3, those cells are impermeable for nutrition to pass back and forth into each of your cells. So patiently, I took this oil it took until the 3rd bottle, for my 3rd month. And I suddenly noticed that, wow, my hip is not hurting. And I happened to have the grandkids at the house, and I didn't have time to be on the treadmill. So I thought, well, maybe it's because I'm not on the treadmill. And so I just kept taking the oil, and I just wondered. And so the next week when they were gone, I got back on the treadmill, and the pain never came back. And so obviously arthritis is an inflammatory condition. And even though I had a root of uneven legs, you know, that oil, I mean, for me, it's a miracle, because I was seriously wondering, what am I going to do in 10 years if I can't walk now? You know, so, again, if someone tells you to get joint replacement, I would use discernment and figure out what does God want you to do. Because, I mean, I'm sorry, they make so much money on surgery and whatnot that, so discernment is the key word of the day.
You said that was MDM oil? What kind of oil is it in?
It's called Balance Oil. It's from Zinzino, and I can give you a link to show you how to order, or get a hold of me and I can.
That's for arthritis.
Well, any inflammatory. I've heard of all kinds of, mostly pain issues. It could be just about anything. But usually, it's usually going to be inflammatory related, but not always.
And I was wondering something else about bread, like they have the service food, they have bread that's expensive bread, but has like cranberry and wild rice in it. What about that? I don't know, I didn't read what the other things are to be.
Well, yeah, you would need to look at the other ingredients to see
Yeah.
if there's anything you can't pronounce, you never heard of before.
Yeah, this is good, you know, to make it look good, because
Yeah, well, I mean, wild rice and cranberries would be great.
but not made necessarily in bread.
Not what?
Not necessarily in bread.
No, you can make bread with wild rice. I've done that. I've made pancakes. I've made everything with wild rice.
Is bioengineered the same as GMO?
For the most part. For the most part. She,
Sorry, I thought I talked about it. Is bioengineered the same as GMO? And she said yes.
yeah, basically yes.
Can I do another quick one?
Yeah.
Is xylitol that you said was toxic for dogs, is that in dog food?
It better not be.
I wasn't sure, I didn't quite hear that part.
Yeah, they do put it in like peanut butter. Some brands of peanut butter have xylitol. But, I mean, lots of people, I mean, I feed my dogs almost everything that we eat.
Okay.
You know, so if people are sharing their food with their dogs and they didn't know there was xylitol in there, it's just a simple mistake, you know.
And then is, for honey, how much is too much?
Good question. Probably, I'm gonna guess, probably like a tablespoon a day.
Okay. And then is cane sugar the same as sugar? I mean, is cane sugar good? Okay.
If you buy in the cane, sugar cane,
Oh, it has to be cane, okay.
right, because if the cane has been processed into granular sugar, which has gone through tons and tons of processing.
Because some ingredients say cane sugar,
Yeah,
but it's really not.
it's
processed?
still sugar, it's still processed.
Okay.
Just like turbinado sugar, brown sugar,
Oh, okay.
you know, raw sugar, sugar in the raw. I mean, they try to make it sound better and natural. And it might be a little bit better than white sugar, but, you know.
Well, you know, what about like in some, you know, potato chips are bad for you, but then they have like sea salt. What is sea salt?
We can't hear.
He's asking about sea salt?
In potato chips.
Yep, well, sea salt, potato chips, just no. But sea salt in and itself is the type of salt you should be using because it has all 88 different minerals in it. They say that seawater can actually be used for people who need a blood transfusion because the minerals are exactly the same. So the sea salt is simply the salt that comes from the sea. Now, of course, it's only going to be, I mean, like a temporary, you know, till we get them to the hospital or something. But, you know, it can help preserve their life. and it's not gonna hurt them.
What about Himalayan salt?
Himalayan, sea salt, Celtic salt, doesn't matter if it's pink or gray. You know, I've even seen black sea salts. Yeah, so they're all good. I don't have a preference. I use them all.
My husband has diabetes. We're gonna start there. He has a urologist that insists that his bladder is dying, but won't do anything about it. Is there anything we can do so it doesn't die?
Yeah, I would, so complications from diabetes are all free radical attacks. So the high sugar causes the free radicals then to go through the system, and those free radicals will attack any organ that they like. Usually it's the kidneys, sometimes it's the heart, sometimes it's your eyes, you know, so I would recommend getting on super powerful antioxidants to stop the free radical activity. And the most common one that I recommend is alpha lipoic acid. Alpha lipoic acid. It's right here.
Put that aside.
And I probably would recommend 3 a day. And I'd probably look at other, if the blood sugar is not controlled, I would look at ways to manage that, like maybe I can't say it, Gymnemria sylvestri. It's literally known as a sugar blocker. That's this one. So if I would take this every time they were going to eat a carbohydrate to make sure that some of that sugar doesn't get into the system. But I believe the body's designed to heal itself. So sometimes it just needs a little help. So you're going to get help by reducing the free radical attack on the tissues, and then it can heal.
So we would get off like the shots and all the medicine. I mean, this list of medicines you're talking about now.
Is it type 1 or type 2?
Type 2.
I don't see why not. I mean, it's a process. But I've worked with a lot of diabetics. I was nutritionist on White Earth for 10 years. And that's what I did, is I worked with people with diabetes. Anyone else?
Yeah, what do you recommend for women who are experiencing hair loss?
I would need to see the diet, and I would need to see how much protein you're taking in. I would need to see what kind of B vitamins you're taking in, and is there anything that's causing you to lose B vitamins, like stress? Stress is probably the #1 cause for hair loss because it interferes with all kinds of things, but it depletes very important minerals and B vitamins. So I would need more information. But protein and B vitamins are probably the big ones.
So you would suggest taking B vitamins?
Yes.
You know there's a lot of stress?
Yes. Yep. Stress depletes magnesium, B complex, electrolytes like potassium. It also shuts down your digestive system and makes digesting protein more difficult. So I would need to find the root, and then I would also want to look at the thyroid and see what your thyroid function is. But those are probably the main things I would look at.
Mine is not a question. I just wanted to add on what you say.
the trees that have on the both side of the river, they produce for the 12 months fruit. Vegetables is the same thing. I'm a gardener. Vegetables produce themselves, get ready, like broccoli and cauliflower or cabbage, whatever. They don't ripe at the same time. We have been messed up, people growing it in the water and getting them ready. But in the real way, if you plant on the dirt, they grow in a different season.
Yep.
So that is also important for us to take. God knew what season
Right.
we need to take what kind of vegetables. So I just wanted to add that on that. The second thing is about the restaurant. I've been a restaurant owner for many years. It's not just cheap ingredients. Nobody can afford the really good ingredients. But also sanitation has been, in the last 15, 20 years, went down the drain. I've never, after I owned the restaurant, I refused to go out to eat. So that's another matter. People go out to smoke, come back, use the bathroom. You can be on them, they were not willing to wash their hands. So I just wanted to say that. The last thing I wanted to say, you say about the microwave, other harmful, especially for women, is a smartphone. Mm-hmm. It can mess up your hormone system and so many health issues. So not wearing a smartphone,
Exactly.
watch.
Yep.
It really.
And not putting the phone on your person, like in a pocket.
Mm-hmm.
I had a patient who was, he must have been about 16, and he had bone cancer in his leg. Guess where he kept his cell phone? He wore cargo pants, and that's where he kept his cell phone. So these things are not conspiracy theories. It's serious.
We have a question.
Mine is not a question, it's more or less, a lot of you have heard this before, but for those of you who have not been here, I had a problem with walking, and I went to the doctor. I got a shot because I couldn't walk. And insurance doesn't always cover it. You have to prove that you're going to do something to correct it before they'll cover it. So I went to my doctor, and she was telling me this. And I said, oh my goodness. And she goes, we'll send you to a bone specialist, ortho. And she told me where to go. But the address was the same that was at the clinic. And she said, well, it's in the hospital, we're connected. Okay, so I went through the hospital, and I went where they told me to. I just didn't go far enough. And I walked in, and the lady goes, oh, well, we got your chart right here. So I assumed I was in the right area because they had my chart. Come to find out, I was in the wrong place. And I said, so now what am I going to do? Oh, we're going to take you anyway. So after seeing the therapist, I called my doctor. My doctor said, that's okay, just go ahead. We're showing them that you are trying to correct the problem. And I said, okay. So I continued on. And she's been working wonders with me, and I got a Christian therapist. So she's been working with me. And I said, I had told my doctor, I don't trust doctors, I don't trust pharmacies, I trust nobody in the medical field. And she just looked at me. I said, I'm sorry, but everybody's out to kill us.
Don't forget, make money off of us. First, they want to make money off of us.
This therapist has been helping me and everything, and trying to show me other alternatives on how to get around things without having to pay so much. And yet your insurance covers it. So, yeah, and I'm surprised my doctor went with it and told me to just continue on.
Well, praise God. Up front?
Okay, I'll have to talk loud, I don't have a microphone. What about turmeric for joint pain?
It's excellent.
Even if you're taking meds?
Absolutely.
Okay, I wonder about, I was taking turmeric, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's Cerlium, it's CERL is, or.
So the fast-acting relief product that I have, the main ingredients are boswellia, curcumin, which comes from turmeric, and black seed extract.
So it's better than the stuff at Walmart, huh?
Well, I can't speak for Walmart because I don't go in there, but I would imagine that these would be a higher quality. I know that the ingredients in the fast-acting relief, they're the pain relieving components are they've extracted in a special way to concentrate on the pain. It's called the LOX4 pathway, and it's processed so it goes to that pathway.
If your doctor recommends estrogen for your problems, do you have an alternative?
Well, you could take something like black cohosh, you could take something like pregnenolone, but if it's a menopausal issue, I would be careful because of the side effects. But it's natural for us to lose production of those hormones at that time of our life. And there's other issues going on that are creating the complications. It's not just the low estrogen. So there could be something else going on, and so I know that's their solution, the hormone replacement therapy. And personally, I'm just not a fan because I just feel like we're not supposed to have estrogen anymore, So I struggle with that. I also know people who were on estrogen that ended up with breast cancer. So every drug has a side effect. So, black cohosh and pregnenolone are things that I would look into.
I have two quick questions here. One of them is, what would you recommend for a first-time garden plot? To prepare the ground for first-time planting. And
I didn't understand that part.
What would you recommend to put into the ground for a first-time garden plot that hasn't been used yet, so you can enrich the soil? And the second question is do you have products that people can use who might have had a GI issue that would not, make any kind of complications? So that's it.
Well, my husband is the gardener. And I know that he rotates. We've got like a 6,000 square foot area and he rotates things. And we compost. We compost everything. And so all that goes back into the soil. As far as the GI issues, I would look into probiotics, digestive enzymes. I would try to figure out, are you not releasing digestive enzymes and hydrochloric acid? So I would need more information, but and there's lots of things that help with digestion, everything from slippery elm to magnesium, and even B complex are all important for digestion. So I would need to sit down with you and get more information.
Question over here.
So what would you say about high iron and high ferritin levels?
Usually it's not an issue for women, even if they are high. It's more commonly seen in men who eat a lot of meat and they've never lost it in their monthlies. So I mean, unless it's just ridiculously off the charts, you know, but if it's just a little bit high, men or women, I guess I wouldn't worry. It's far worse to have low, because that's going to affect your blood. But if it is really high, then they would look into it further to make sure it's not, you know, something more serious.
Yeah. How does honey compare with sugar? I mean, you know, because I know it's better, right?
Well, sugar has no nutrition whatsoever. It's pure calories, nothing else. And it's very acidic, and it's, you know, it's, like I said, it's okay to eat a little.
So we should avoid acidic things for the most part.
Right.
Tomatoes were acidic.
What was that?
Tomatoes, are they acidic?
No, those are alkaline forming. They have citric acid, but in the body they're alkaline forming.
Okay, well.
So honey is going to have enzymes, it's going to have minerals, it's going to have even some vitamins that help you process the carbohydrates, the sugar in there. Whereas if you're eating sugar, you're now depleted in all those things because your body needed them, and so it's going to steal them from somewhere else. And does that make sense?
Yeah, there was something you were saying, something else you were saying about sugar. Now I was wondering if honey does that too.
Okay, back to the ferritin question. I had my blood draws from LabCorp, and on the side it tells you what's normal. So for ferritin, it says the normal range was 15 to 150. Mine, 344. And I eat maybe 4 ounces of protein at lunch, 4 ounces at supper, and maybe some eggs or something for breakfast. So why are my levels so high? They did drop 100 points, but they're still way over that amount. But is that from a naturopathic doctor's viewpoint or a medical viewpoint, the 150? You know, who sets these ranges? So am I normal? I don't know.
Well, you do make a good point. The point being, for example, that normal cholesterol, like 50 years ago, was like 300. And then they started to lower it. They lowered it to 250 or 275, and then it was 250, and then it was 225, and now it's 199. They want you to be under 200. Even though there's no evidence that shows that high cholesterol causes any problems at all. There's no connection between cholesterol and heart disease. In fact, you need LDL cholesterol to heal all wounds in your body. If you get a wound, you need LDL cholesterol. That's what the body sends to heal it, like a Band-Aid. And so the LDL cholesterol that's in our arteries is from an injury in the artery from free radicals. So the reason there's cholesterol gets caught there is because of the tissue injury, not because the body had too much. So the other thing that's gone down is blood pressure. They've lowered the normal blood pressure. It used to be much, much higher than it is now. And so that's a really good question, you know, as to what is normal and who makes up the normals.
They think I'm not normal.
We're not supposed to be normal. We're supposed to be peculiar people.
So is it true that D3 does not absorb unless it has K2?
Well, almost every natural source of D3 has K2 in it. So if you look at, well, so one of the things that I like to recommend is nattokinase. Nattokinase is a blood thinner because it's loaded with K2.
But wouldn't it make your blood thinner if you don't need it to be thinner?
No, it's a food.
Oh, okay.
Nattokinase comes from fermented tofu. And in Japan, they eat it all the time, like we would eat, I don't know, yogurt or something. And so it's available as a supplement. It's loaded with K2. I have the Bone Up that I carry has D3 and K2 in it. So yes and yes.
Where's your Bone Up? Is it Dr. Test or?
Jarros.
Oh, Jarros, yeah.
That's right here. So that has all the minerals you need for healthy bones, including D3. Yeah.
Is it, you were just saying that it's good for your body and it's food. Is it not true that since it is food, if your body's maybe keeping too much of it in you, it'll flush it out itself naturally because it is food?
Yeah, I've never heard of someone having too much K2.
Right, right. So,
I mean, it's in all your green vegetables. It's in spinach, kale. I mean, anything green has K2 in it.
mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, it's
But
water soluble, so.
Right, and like iron. My question is with iron, going back to what she was saying, if your body has too much iron, that's a natural element in your, you know what I'm saying, it's natural. So if your body was, am I correct to say, I mean, God created us in His perfect image, our body should know how much we need. You know what I'm saying?
Right, I mean, there could be an underlying situation.
Okay.
In people that have too high or too low. But
I can understand too low, but
right.
too high in iron, I just.
Yeah, I don't see any reason to be concerned.
Yeah.
I mean, there are certain things that you can overdose on,
Right.
you know, but those are probably going to be your fat solubles like vitamin A, D3. Yes, you can overdose on D3. It's fat soluble. Although they've upped their daily recommendation to 10,000 units now. It used to be 2, and then it was 5, now it's up to 10. So I'm usually not too concerned when something is too high like that.
What do you recommend for good bladder, urinary tract health?
I have a product called Bladder Support, and off the top of my head, I don't even know what's in it.
I'll talk to you afterwards.
But yeah, I know that it works. But yeah, it's called My Bladder's actual name. It used to be called Bladder. It used to be Bladder Support. Now it's called My Bladder. And I did bring some.
I went to my doctor on October 28th, and I asked him about this turmeric that you mentioned.
Turmeric, yep.
And the nurse told me that it was a blood thinner. Is that true?
It would be really, really, really mild. I wouldn't worry about that at all.
Okay.
I would be more worried about cheap turmeric that has heavy metals.
Oh, okay. And I'm also on this thyroid thing. Levothyroxine.
Okay, for your thyroid?
Mm-hmm.
And you're looking for an alternative?
Well, the doctor told me when I went there, he said, I didn't take it for a while, and then he said my thyroid level was really low, and the bad cholesterol was really high. So that kind of scared me, so I kind of reassumed it. So I don't know whether I should take this or... I have
Well-
to get off it.
Well, first of all, if your cholesterol is high, that's their opinion. And as I was sharing, the normal levels used to be a lot higher, even 300. And so I usually tell people, if your cholesterol is over 300 and you have a history of heart disease in your family, then I probably would take something natural like red yeast rice extract.
Okay.
But if it's in the 200 range, I wouldn't worry about it. You need cholesterol. Now for the level thyroxine, I would be interested in finding out how your iodine is. And you can check your iodine by getting a bottle of that dark brown iodine at the grocery store, pharmacy or wherever. And you paint a swatch somewhere, like on your arm or your belly or something. And if it goes away in like 24 hours, then your body has absorbed it and it's looking for it. If it's still sitting there, because it's a stain, if it's still sitting there after that time, then your iodine levels are good.
Thank you.
Yep. Because that doesn't have anything to do with iodine. Your thyroid runs by iodine. Most of the iodine in your whole body is in your thyroid. There's a little bit in your reproductive organs. So.
Where do you get the iodine? You need it. Sorry.
It's available as a supplement. I carry several different strengths.
Okay.
So most people, I haven't found anyone where that stain is still sitting there. Because there's some iodine in sea salt, which I recommend. There's probably more iodine in sea salt than the table salt that's iodized, because like I said, it gets evaporated and it's unusable. So yeah, I sell a lot of iodine because it's hard to get in the diet, mostly due to soil depletion.
If you exercise and then after you're done you just feel sick for several days, like just nauseated, is there a certain reason for that?
Cardio or weights?
Cardio.
I'm not sure. It could be an adrenal issue, where the stress of the exercise, has effect on the adrenals. So I think I would need more information, see what other symptoms are there. And I've never heard of that before, but that's just one guess, is it could be adrenal related. Someone who has adrenal fatigue, they cannot exercise. They feel worse when they exercise. And it can last for a couple days.
One more question. So lately I've been hearing or seeing different videos on YouTube saying that if you got like a high starch product like mashed potatoes, bread, so on and so forth, if you put it in the refrigerator or you freeze it for 24 hours, you take it out, thaw it, and then you heat it up and then consume it, it turns to like a probiotic food and you don't absorb all the carbs?
Yep, it becomes starch resistant. So it's, I don't know about bread, but rice is well known for that, and potatoes. I'm not sure what other grains might do that, but definitely rice and potatoes are known to become starch resistant once you put them in the fridge and then take them back out. So it changes the carbohydrate absorption.
Does it keep that starch resistance when it's heated up again, or are you supposed to consume it cold?
Apparently.
Nice. So do you put it in the fridge after you cook it, or?
After you cook it.
Okay. Not in the microwave.
Yeah. She's right.
They have some of those lunch boxes that heat up on their own, like you charge it. Now the internet, because you know you believe everything the internet says, it says that there's no radiation and that's a safe way to heat things up. Is that true?
In a what?
It's a lunch box that you can charge and it will heat it up. I don't know if it's like a crock pot or what, but
Kind of like that.
Is there a heating element in there?
yes.
So it wouldn't be like a microwave, but there's a heating element in there.
They said there's no radiation with those, so.
Yeah, it would just be like sticking a heating pad in your cooler. Anybody else?
I guess I have a question. What are your thoughts on if you find grass-fed, grass-finished, organic whey protein powder?
Yummy.
That's why I love you, Dr. Beth.
Oh, can you say something about creatine?
Creatine.
Well, creatine was really popular back in the 80s and the early 90s. When I was back in the gym being a gym bunny.
Yeah.
And all the guys were on creatine. And most of them were having problems because they got dehydrated. You have to drink a whole bunch more water with the creatine in order for it to work properly. And other than that, I'm just not a big fan. I just don't need to be having kidney problems and, you know. But you'd have to take a lot, but you do, you know, the dosages are pretty high. So,
how much protein should you have in a day?
60 for a typical female, 20 and 20 and 20. Or if you're only eating 2 meals a day, you could do 30 and 30. I wouldn't go over 40 because your body's, it's not going to use it as protein, it's just going to get used as fat. So, yeah, moderation. But yeah, you definitely need to have protein every time you eat, mostly to balance your blood sugars. Yeah, I mean, like the worst breakfast in the world would be Cheerios and orange juice. You know, it's just sugar.
I have a question about appliance, like the new, well, it's not new, but I don't have one. Instapots, I think they're called, where you put the food in the bucket and stick it in and.
We used to call those a pressure cooker. Yes.
Then they're not bad, probably.
No.
Air fryers.
Air fryer, maybe that's what I was thinking.
Air fryers?
Yes.
I'm a little bit on the fence. My brother gave us one, because I didn't want one, but he gave us one. And I don't like to cook anything in there.
Okay.
It just doesn't, I mean, I know some people think it's great, but like I tried to make chicken thighs and they weren't browned and I don't know, I wasn't a fan.
I bought one twice and took it back twice. I just don't think I get this to be good.
Yeah, so a lot of the things that people put in there are not healthy. You know. Right, like tater tots or, you know, mozzarella cheese sticks. So that's why I didn't want one. So it doesn't get used a lot, and I've tried heating it up a few times, heating up things like instead of turning it on the oven because we don't have a microwave. And it's okay, you know, but I'm just not crazy about it. And I've also heard that they can have Teflon or, you know, they can have bad materials in there. So
How do you even clean it? You can't get up in where the heat.
I don't,
Yeah,
yeah,
that would really bother me.
yeah.
Back to the protein question. I subbed in the schools here in town, and this happened before COVID, so it could have been even 7 years ago. I had to walk through the lunchroom to get a student, they were eating breakfast before school started, and I looked at this one little boy, and he had Cocoa Puffs with chocolate milk poured over it
Yep,
before the day started.
yep, this is what they feed our kids.
I work in the schools and I can attest that we're working on reducing the sugars and the cereals we get are like 25% less sugar. Not to say that it is a good ideal thing, but you know, in the right direction. Yeah, they're going
I suppose whole grain total, breakfast cereal isn't real good. It's not as good bad as others, but it's not real good as a whole grain total. Huh?
No. Anything that says fortified in it, just put it back on the shelf. Fortified with 13 different vitamins and minerals. Well, you know, there used to be 88 plus 15, and then they think you're doing you a favor by putting synthetic. You know, it's not real vitamins and minerals, it's synthetic, because those are the cheap ones. And so you get it, yeah. Fortified goes back on the shelf.
Can you use your microwave just for defrosting?
I wouldn't.
Well, that's okay.
You're destroying nutrients.
Okay, so what would you do? Get a small toaster oven?
Why don't you take it out the night before and put it in your fridge?
Yeah, I could do that. I just like them warm. You know, I like them warm. Like muffins.
You can warm that up in the oven.
So I have to heat it all the up in this.
Well, yep, I do. But it's cold up there in Longville.
I could get rid of the microwave when you put a small toaster oven there, right?
Yep. I don't have a problem with toaster ovens. We don't have one, but I would get one if we had whatever.
Now, how did you complain that what was bad about microwaves? I mean, just really briefly.
It's a radiation oven. So the radiation destroys all your nutrients, especially your antioxidants. And a lot of the nutrients, like vitamin C, magnesium, those are all antioxidants. So it destroys your antioxidants, which is lots of vitamins and minerals.
Are they free radical scavengers and antioxidants?
Right. So then, on top of that, it denatures proteins and fats. So it breaks them up into like foreign entities that are not natural. And so in the body, your body is probably going to treat it like a, like a foreign object. Which is why we have so many allergies and inflammation, and your body doesn't recognize it as food because it's been broken down into something abnormal.
Now, I want to ask you, a lot of people really heat things at high, like bacon, and make tater tots and stuff like that. They heat them on high. Now, I read somewhere that when you high heat oils, that they become
trans fats.
Trans fats. Okay. All right. There's a word.
Well, and then if you put carbs in at high heat, you get a compound called acrylamide, which is toxic. So anytime you make even toast, if you toast your white bread and make toast out of it, you're creating that brown is acrylamide. So your tater tots, whatever carbohydrate you're putting in and it's browning, it's actually a toxic compound.
Is that the they say something is toxic when things burn. There's a certain.
Yep. I think
carcinogen.
Yes. Right.
Is that the same with carcinogen?
It's not as bad as, but it's heading in that direction. Yep.
Yeah, you take.
Okay. Okay, do you wanna wrap it up then? Sure. Do you wanna say anything?
So we just want to thank Dr. Beth for coming. Yes, she drove 2.5 hours. Yes, it was wonderful. The other thing is she has given us a fantastic discount on consultation for an hour. Today is filled, but tomorrow morning she will be here. She's going to leave about 12:30 to head back home. But if you would like to have an hour-long consultation with her, tomorrow morning she will do that. Otherwise, you can set up a phone consultation with her. And that is really wonderful too. She also has, I'm just gonna give a little, an ad here. She also has, my husband and I are both separately doing a 3-month clientele, or we're her patients for 3 months. So she does that also, which is wonderful. Because then you can, pardon?
That's for 4 consults.
For consults. And then you can text her or message her, or, or if you have things happening and stuff. So it's kind of cool because when you're going through a protocol that's different, then you have that you can see her again thing. You can talk to her again thing, so that you get that. Yeah, so that's really awesome. I do have to tell you that what Dr. Beth is talking about really works. And, we've been going through her for many years. And just for some of us, and I don't know if this happens with men, but I didn't know about this. But all of a sudden, my cortisol went crazy. And I didn't know what that was. And I took the blood test through. She has tests that you can purchase. And then she can read them, because I couldn't read them at all. And then she said that was adrenal fatigue. You are in fight or flight, and it's really bad for you. And so she knew exactly what I should, and this was just last Friday that I got the test back. And so I got 3 supplements from her on Tuesday, and it's completely gone. Wow. Completely. I mean, the very first night, it was completely better. So, and then one thing I was going to say, Mel, about the exercise thing, that was the only time during the day, because we exercise at 11 each day, and we weightlift and everything, and so, but that was the only time after that that my cortisol was normal. Otherwise, it was sky high all the time. So anyways, there's things, but it's, this question and answer is so awesome, and I just loved all of your questions and everything, because it just shows that there are answers, healthy answers. And, but I so recommend the consultation for 1 hour. You get a lot done in 1 hour. And here's the cool thing. So you fill out a form, and it tells about you. And then what we did was, I think we just sent it back to you, because we did this over the phone. And I can't remember, Kelly did it, but then she goes through this, and she's ready to talk to you, because she's looking up all this stuff. And so when she gets to you, she's got like a wealth of answers for you. And it's like right on. So you're not trying all these things. I don't know about you, I think I've tried everything. Yeah, and it's expensive. And it's dangerous, And yeah, so I highly recommend this, highly recommend. Here's the deal, a lot of people tell me, because she's giving us a discount, so it's $80 for a consultation, and she said after this, for a period of time, she was going to give us the same discount for the phone one if you can't come today or tomorrow. But here's the deal. What was I going to say about that consultation? Oh, yeah. So, when you go out to eat, it's like $20, $25 now to go out to eat. Yeah. Just think, that would be 3 meals. Yeah, that would be 3 meals. So when we look at our health, longevity of our life, and really serving the Lord, you have to be healthy to serve the Lord. What is the price? So and look at all the money that we spend on trying to figure this out. Right. Yeah, and that is just crazy. But I want to tell you, my sleeping was so bad. I would wake up at 2 in the morning, I was up for the day. And even when I went to bed, I didn't really, sleep. And that alone will mess up things. And so if you're going through stuff, everybody's going through stuff. If you're going through stuff, there can be just the easiest answer. But it will be for you. It will be targeted for you. This is so, I can't tell you how crucial this is for your health. Yeah. Especially when you get to a certain age, you can't fake it anymore. Yeah. So that's when things shift, and you have to be able to shift with it. I couldn't do that. I didn't know. So there's a wealth of information on the internet, but you've got to know some stuff before you start trying all that. Yeah.
If you have a consultation today, but you haven't filled out that form?
Yeah, now today is filled, and so we have 4 people. Oh, you're one of them. Oh, is that the couple? Oh, how wonderful. Okay, yes, we will give you the forms. Yes, here. So it'll be one for her and her husband. Yeah. Okay, I've got you down. You're number 3, and Sue, you're number 4.
Just something real quick. I was just gonna say, if a person would have the attitude that food is your medicine, that's what helped me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really true. Yeah, it's really true.
I was wondering, like, if you go to like Perkins and have a blueberry muffin, doesn't even heat up with no butter, but if it's blueberry muffin, is blueberries good for you? The muffins, I know nutrition value in the muffin.
Just take out the blueberries and throw the rest away.
Those are even blueberries.
Yeah.
Well, and you don't know, if they're not organic, you don't know what's sprayed on them. I know strawberries, I heard strawberries are sprayed 30 times during its growth.
After you juice them, you can take that juice of that strawberry and use that for a pesticide the next time. There's so much pesticides in there.
Oh my gosh. So Dr. Beth is going to start the consultations that are signed up today. Shayna, you are number 1. So you have your forms with you, okay? And then you're going to meet in this room here, so it's private, and you can close the door. And
she also has
yes.
a sale of her supplements, and her books are all half price in person here.
I forgot to say all that.
Yes.
And there's flyers over here with tons of information that are for you to take.
Nice. Wow.
So I'm thinking to get something, then how do I know which one it is if you are not here? If you are consulting someone there, I'm thinking to get something for something, how would I know?
I'll stay here for a couple more minutes.
Okay, why don't you come up then? Do you want to come up and then you can talk to her right away? Okay. Yeah. All right,